And the other thing people say is like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That is, I work all the time. Like,
Yeah, you do.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays are hard. Here's what I'd say: find what you're really, find what you're really gifted at doing.
Yeah.
And if it also adds value to the world, you're locked in.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Asanta. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here with you today. I love getting to sit with you and talk with you and hearing all the stories and things that you're doing all around the country.
Thanks.
So we should tell the people probably that you are the founder of Game On. So tell the people where you found it.
People.
Tell the people where did you find
it?
Where'd you find Game On?
In the bottom of a cereal box. Oh, I was in LA and I was an actor. I wasn't a very good actor, but I was a good auditioner. And so I worked a lot with my friends on their presentation, their audition, and some of my friends were on shows, so they would be interviewed, and they wanted to get help on the interview. So I started with that, and
Nice.
I loved improvisation. So I started using improv as a vehicle to teach, and did that in LA from like '97 to like 2003, and then moved out to Florida, to Bradenton, where we were based at IMG Academy for 10 years, and that's
Nice.
where we worked with athletes, corporations, teams on helping them with their culture, with their trust, with their teamwork, all through this lens of creating a somewhat unfamiliar environment, doing it in a safe way, and seeing what kind of results come from having real authentic interaction. So
how did you know? I mean, at what point did you know that you had to pivot and take this to the next level? Like, you know, sort of leave that comfort zone that you were in for so long where things were really kind of harmonious for you. You know? And how did you know, I mean, let's take this to the next level.
There was two transitions. One was when I left LA and I was acting and I was a working actor and that was hard to leave, but I wasn't fulfilled. I was anxious all the time, waiting for the next gig. Yeah.
That's interesting.
And so an acting teacher once said to me, if you don't truly love what you're doing as an actor, do something else because it's that competitive and you're competing with people that are so passionate. So I moved away from my parents and my brother and my friends in LA and moved out to Bradenton. That was a huge transition. Then being at IMG for 10 years was also really safe. You know, you could get kind of comfortable in like, you've got clients on a regular basis, you've got a team you're building, and that's where you guys come in. And truly, this is a huge part of my transition was when we left the sports academy where we were based in 2013 and needed a place that was a little more intimate, more collaborative. And I remember you guys gave us an opportunity to have an office space in Sarasota. And it was funny that nothing against the big corporation, it's just a different vibe. You know, when you're in a large corporation, there's security, but you know, there's not a lot of people checking on you. There's not a huge sense of collaboration because everyone has to just hit those profits.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a rule that there was a certain like paint color you could choose. It was called latte. I remember I painted my office burgundy.
Latte.
I got in.
I like it a latte.
I got in the doghouse because I painted our office burgundy, and they're like, no, it's got to be latte.
I remember when you were at the HuB.
Yeah.
You definitely did not stick with the latte palette. You, I think you graffitied.
I overboard. I want to talk about this real quick because I say don't curve the curve, and I have a lot of energy, so I have to like temper my energy. But I was so excited to finally be in a place where people would check on you and be like, "How are you?" You're like, "Is this for real?"
It's community.
Right. Like, hey, can we help you? I was like, oh, they have an agenda, right? I was like, my guard's
What do they
up.
want from me?
So I thought, you know, we're gonna hip it up. But you can't hip the hip. So I decided, right? I told my business partner Blair, I'm like, we're gonna put Game On in graffiti.
I love
But
it.
our office was really small, so I kind of overshot a little bit, and it ended up being probably a little overwhelming.
I remember the colors being bright.
Really bright.
Like bright orange.
The whole thing was like sugar on sugar. I remember the graffiti artist, I'm like, we have to do this now. But I guess it is a good result of like when you're around a creative environment, you get kind of really inspired. And
Well, we had unleashed.
Yeah.
We had unleashed the wild animal that had been contained for a while.
Yeah, my advice would be you don't have to graffiti the wall per se to be hip.
To be home.
Be home, but it is something to say about when you're an entrepreneur and you're going through transition, which is really scary. The idea of people having your back, having different people around that offer different skill sets.
Yeah.
You have software designers, you have artists, you have curriculum designers, you have innovators. It's really...
Well, it's an ecosystem.
Yeah, it's really
It's
cool.
a sustainable ecosystem that allows, you know, people like you that are you know, doing their passion project to grow, to thrive, and be supported throughout the whole way. It's pretty cool.
And I'm sure for you too, you and Rich, when you're overseeing it, it has to be inspiring when you're seeing other people fulfill their dreams.
Absolutely. It's the most inspiring thing.
Yeah.
Especially when they come back and say to us that we're responsible for that. And in some cases I think, what? How is that possible? But they, it's the most fulfilling and rewarding thing that we get to experience by far. And obviously those friendships that last a lifetime, like, love you and your family. Tell people tell them a little bit about what is Game On. I mean, what does that look like when you're day to day?
It's a good question. I mean, there's 3 areas that we're focusing on. We work a lot with the military, a lot with sports, a lot with corporate. On a day-to-day level, it's about really managing our other consultants that are on the road that are teaching our curriculum. So we'll have consultants all over the country working with Joint Special Operation Command, or maybe a college or pro sports team or a company, and in a small group setting, helping them work on everything from team building, communication, listening, and it's all through different improv exercises that we've created.
And do you work with both the employees and also the CEOs and
the preferred direction would be starting from the top down.
Right.
So if we can get with a Pittsburgh Pirates, for an example, a group that we work with a lot, and I love it. If we can be with the general manager and the manager and the coaching staff and the executives, and start to establish the rules of engagement and the culture from that vantage point, then it's like you're starting from the top of the pyramid.
Absolutely, and it's so important that leaders lead by example.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard sometimes when you do see someone in that position of authority or leadership, and they don't take such advantage of their position to truly be a leader by example.
Well, and I think it says a lot if you're the leaders, like, we got to have a mission, we have a culture, and that leader's not even in the room during that training. It says so much.
Right.
And it goes back to kind of what we're talking about with big corporations. Nothing against them. They provide tremendous opportunity for people.
Absolutely.
But like the HuB environment, that independent environment, like you and Rich and your team of leaders, you're involved.
Oh, yeah.
And because
it's our extended family.
So if we can get the leaders in the room and the employees can see the leaders as human beings, and they can understand that we're all in this together, I just see a lot of opportunity for culture change.
So what are some of the challenges that you might face, in an industry like this? Because there aren't a lot of people doing what you do. I mean, it's very niche. It's very unique.
It is niche.
I mean, you work with some major, speaking of corporations, I mean, you work with some major corporations around the country. And but there's got to be challenges there for you.
Yeah, I mean, one of my challenges, I'm not a great marketer. I'm not. Like, people see my energy and my personality, like, oh, I'm sure you're great at sales. I can't stand it. When numbers come out, I'm like, I run out the door. So one of the challenges is to convey what you do in a clear manner so the companies, the clients can understand their ROI, understand what's going to be the return on the investment. So, so much of it is listening to their needs. If a company says we need to empower our employees more, then we can create a program that will help empower their employees more. If their issue is we have a problem with retention, then we can say, okay, we're going to create some concepts and exercises, some good to do's, not good to knows, good to do's, that can help improve employee retention.
And so, it's no longer about do what I say, not what I do. It's about do what I do.
Well, no joke. Like, I hear so much about the good to knows, or like, hey, we have to have a good team culture. Like, everyone knows that. I don't think any company's like, I really need our culture to be bad.
Yeah,
like,
let's
that's
try and make
goal.
Everyone miserable. Like, I actually was. I know you won't believe this, but this is the truth. I actually had someone who I was speaking to who said that they work in an environment where it's a no-talk zone, and so as coworkers, if we have questions to ask each other as colleagues or coworkers, we have to email each other. And if we want to speak, we need to go outside. And when I heard that, I thought, well, you're lying. That's not even possible. Like, who works there? And why do you work there?
It's called a library.
It is called a library.
It's really that. I wouldn't.
And I don't know what's being innovative in a library right now.
Right.
I don't. What are things that are being innovated in a library?
Silence.
Silence.
No, there's some quality. That I don't know if that's productive for, like,
I was blown away because I just heard this about 3 weeks ago, and I thought, this is insane. How are people building organizations, and morale
Yeah.
at best with this type of mentality.
Yeah, and I think going back to what we're doing, we're trying to show them through interactive exercises and live training, and hopefully down the road digital training as well,
Right.
the power of authentic connection, the power of combining technology and emails and texts and webinars and all of these opportunities we have to connect on a global level, but also like this. Like we can't replace like this. Like when I shake your hand,
That's right.
this is not AI.
Well, and that's part of probably, I mean, I don't know whether or not you are good at marketing, but I know that you said you weren't. And I know for sure that one of the reasons why you're not is because most of that happens behind a digital mask.
Yeah.
And you are definitely somebody who comes to life and thrives.
I do.
When you are in front of someone. I mean, it's one of the things I love about spending time with you. Is
Thank you.
You are so inspiring. I remember the first time I met you that I almost trampled over your pregnant wife to get to you. Didn't know it was your wife, but certainly pushed that pregnant lady right out of the way. Said, I need to get to that man. And she just gracefully moved out of the way. And I went over and spoke with you, and she kind of was hovering over me. Like I felt like this woman was invading our personal space.
Editors note, they are now best friends.
We are now best friends. But
you're
I
right.
thought this woman.
Yeah. This woman, get out of my way. I am not good at marketing because I do really value authentic connection. Here's what I'd say to all entrepreneurs though, like get over that and surround yourself with people.
That's right.
You don't have to do it yourself. Like I'm not great at tweeting every time I'm somewhere, and I'm not great at self-promotion. But then you've got to surround yourself with people that know how to tell your story.
That's right.
And hire those folks who are great at understanding Facebook Live and all different social media platforms.
Yeah.
Because else you're going to be left behind.
That's right. We are the transition. I mean, your kids are younger than my kids, but my kids are definitely making sure that I am very aware. I mean, this is a digital world. This is if you are not in the VR, the AI, or the AR, or any of that. I mean, you are getting left behind. I mean, everything is happening in that digital platform. And it's incredible. It's fascinating. It's a little bit scary for somebody that doesn't understand all of it. And I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by such tech gurus all the time. I mean, software developers, people who just create things from nothing. And
but don't you think it's cool now to combine like the authentic connection, what you and I enjoy, with the technology, and actually see how they can mesh together and work together?
I think it's vital for growth. I mean, I think it's vital because we do live busy lives. I mean, we get to see each other a few times a year because you are traveling all over the place. Yeah. So, it is nice to be able to send you a text, or it is nice to be able to shoot you a little message through any type of digital platform. But those times that we get to sit together and enjoy each other's company is obviously the best form of connection.
Yeah, it's interesting too, just kind of thinking about social media and the power. I think we are truly starving for that authenticity and that humility.
Yep.
The case in point, the Super Bowl, you don't have to be a sports fan, but the quarterback of the winning team is this young man who was the second string quarterback. And he put a post-game interview out where he basically started the interview by saying, we all fail.
Yeah,
we all fail,
sure
and
do.
We're human, and this is a great honor, but don't get caught up too much on everyone living epic lives on social media. And it was so fascinating. That video went viral.
Yeah.
And I watched hundreds of thousands of people and liking it.
I think you reposted it too.
Yeah. But what it reminded me to connect this sort of social media world and authentic connection world is like, I think we're complicating this, and I think people truly just don't want to feel alone.
Yeah.
I think people want to know, like, wow, I'm not the only one that is struggling. And when we get too guru-y, and when we get to like 6 steps to success, or I'm the leadership perfect coach, that doesn't exist. And you and I joke, and I'll just tell all viewers, I have a daughter who I love. I don't know which camera to look at. And
there's so many.
She won't stay in timeout. And I tell audiences that. So people know, like, we're all dealing. We're all struggling.
Yeah.
And I think it allows for people to put their guard down and go, all right,
yeah,
you haven't figured it out. You're in this with me. You have some ideas. We have some ideas. Let's collaborate and work together. But the minute we lose that connection to be like, hey, man, I've graduated and you haven't, and I'll be your lighthouse, we're out.
It's not cool anymore.
No, guard up. And I'm like, I don't want it.
It's not cool. It's just not cool. And I get it. And I love, you always say to people, don't game the game.
Don't game the game.
Don't game the game.
Yeah.
If you could give just a tidbit of advice to the next person who's looking to, find their path to their passion, I mean, what kind of advice would you share with them?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. At first I was like, oh, do I have the answer? This is gonna sound a little weird. Here's what I won't say. Don't follow your dreams alone. I don't like that
I
statement.
love that. You
don't
did
follow your dreams.
You did a graduation speech, and I remember sitting there listening to you thinking, what is he telling these kids? He's telling these kids, do not follow your dreams.
So I want to explain
yeah.
it.
And I thought, oh, Steve, no, you're here to tell the kids to go on and follow their dreams.
No, I want to clarify it. Don't just use that as a soundbite. Don't follow your dreams, because my dream was to play second base for the Dodgers. I never played past high school, but I'm not a failure. So, and the other thing people say is like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That is, I work all the time. Like,
Yeah,
Tuesdays and Wednesdays are hard. Here's what I'd say. Find what you're really gifted at doing.
Yeah.
And if it also adds value to the world, you're locked in. But like, you will work hard. And there's gonna be days you have a headache, and there's days where you're really like tired. And the idea of, so follow your dreams and you'll never work a day in your life, I think are two dangerous myths if you don't understand what those messages really mean. So to replace that message with, find what you're really good at doing, you know?
That's right.
Because I might love playing second base for the Dodgers, but I'm actually better at teaching curriculum.
Yeah.
Right? And if it also can make it a positive impact on the world, I'm not talking about changing the world 180 degrees. I'm talking making a positive impact. Man, I think you're setting yourself up for a cool career.
I agree.
That's it.
I agree. I think that's awesome. I love getting to talk to you.
See,
You're the best.
Virtual reality. That was real.
That was real. Thank you so much.